Welcome to Trio, the first seminar of the summer success strategies, summer success strategies. We are here today to help you be successful in the summer semester. We are going to start off with our director, Yosh, who is going to give you some strategies on how to manage your schedule. Yosh, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Lori. And we are going to go ahead and just have a conversation. And one of the things that we had talked about when we were designing or putting this seminar together was just, what's going to be helpful for students in the sense of getting ready, strategizing, and creating a plan for you to be successful for the summer. Now, like most of the students, and we've also heard from students that, after this year, it's been pretty difficult. And how do you find that motivation and how do you continue to finish when, it's been pretty tough? So we're just going to kind of go over a little bit of strategies. I'll definitely be asking for your input and just kind of talking through this. I'm working on this for myself. There's a couple of different projects that I'm working on. And so I'll also share a little bit about how I do my tasks, my checklist, to-do list, my calendar, which I'm working on now, and then also something called sprint work. So I will go ahead and start sharing on my screen. So hold on here. All right, so everybody see that? Pretty good. Okay, so again, we're talking about summer school planning. We wanted to do this seminar for the second week, just so that way we can, again, try to think about what we're doing in sense of the action plans. What are we doing to help us to be successful, and some of the things or issues that may come up. So I'll be asking you guys these questions. So why am I taking summer classes? And this is, you want to explain why you're choosing to do this, and what are a must to be successful, and what are the benefits of this work. So we have Christian and Michaela. So if you guys could just kind of go through this with me, that would be great. So asking you that question, why am I taking summer classes?
I chose to take summer classes because it would help accelerate me on my degree checklist and hopefully finish a little bit sooner. And kind of something to kind of keep my summer a little bit busy. So being productive while also keeping me occupied, I guess, on my path for education.
Awesome. And Christian, why are you taking summer classes? So Christian said accelerate degree checklists. So again, trying to finish early. And then, so then the last part of it is, what are the benefits of this work? So again, why are you being intentional of taking these summer classes? And, that is to finish early, so that way you can start that career and not have to necessarily live that college life. You're going to be able to go out and start that career, or continue on with your education through that master's degree. Okay, so awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. And again, these are just questions that I'm asking myself when it comes to the different projects, as to why, I'm doing these different projects. What are the benefits? And then also, what are the things that I need to do is to ensure that I'm going to be successful? So again, looking at that and answering those questions. So now I know and have my objective as to why I want to do those things. But also, it's very important when it comes to looking at the problems, issues that you're going to be faced when it comes to getting those particular tasks or goals completed. So please explain the issues or problems that you may have. Now, so here is a schedule of how an average weekday is used for a full-time university or college student. And so again, you're looking at, this is typical yes or no, you can, if that's true for you. But a lot of times, we're trying to be intentional with our time, and we're trying to make sure that we're doing not only just being an effective college student, but living life. So, we do have students who are off campus who have jobs that have to work, or we have parents that are now full-time students, or we have college athletes, so it's not just being a college student. There's always extra stuff that go into that. And so kind of just thinking about, how does your day or how does your week break down? That's also something to be mindful of when it comes to trying to plan out or make an action plan to be successful. And so again, where is my time most spent at? How can I find places where I can take time away from or add time to this area? So again, just thinking about why I'm doing these things. And it's always helpful to kind of come back to those things, because as college students, you guys are always in class, you guys are always trying to get, that semester accomplished. And so sometimes it becomes redundant, becomes tiresome. And so again, we have to ask ourselves, why am I doing this? To kind of refresh or reiterate why it's important to you, and then why this hard work is important. Because sometimes, we keep doing the same thing over and over, it becomes cumbersome and you're going to get exhausted. You're not going to want to do those things that are going to help you be successful. So again, just always trying to help yourself to continue to see why you're doing the things. All right, so talking about calendars and to-do lists. And then this really depends on how you do your organization. So we talked a little bit about why we're wanting to get these classes done for the summer. You explained why it's going to be important to you, so that way you can get that done, get that accomplished, and start that next chapter of whatever it is that you want to do. So you have explained pretty much in your mind, or made a list of why or what it's going to be, what it's going to take to be successful. So what is your action plan to reach your goal? And then this is me just asking you guys, what have you found to be successful or helpful for you when it comes to being organized? Do you do calendars? Is that going to be something that you write on a board, like a dry eraser, or do you use digital? Makayla has been trying to help me with that, having that digital on my phone, so that way I can see those things. Or, you can have a board. So this is something that I do as far as my to do, is this helps me to be able to do color, not only color, but to be able to do checklists. So I get excited when it comes to checklists. So that helps me to stay accountable for the week. It also makes me have to look at that at the beginning of the week. So if I set a meeting for Monday, I usually try to start thinking about that on Sunday, if not that earlier, and start putting on my board, what are some of the things that I need to get accomplished for the week? What can I do, and where can I find time to do this throughout the week? So I'm going to go ahead and just ask you guys, what has been helpful for you as you've been going through your semesters?
I think each semester, with everything that's kind of changed, the way I approach my planning has changed each time, because I trial and error pretty much. So now what I'm trying to do is pretty much combine doing a physical calendar / like, I guess, task list, but have a couple weeks at a time so where I can see what's coming up, but instead divide my columns into pretty much what I need to get done, what I'm actually working on, and then what I've actually completed. And then to go along with that, I'm going to have in my phone a digital calendar that pretty much says what meetings I have, and probably like more meetings and stuff like that, because I've done it in the past where I've included every assignment and every due date and test. And it's very discouraging when someone changes the whole term's dates. So then that's how much time I wasted planning, that I have to go back and adjust times. And it's a lot of shuffling. So now I'm just trying to take it a day at a time, I guess.
Thank you for sharing. And that, and that's also another thing too, is trial by error. Sometimes things aren't going to always work out. So for me, again, I have to have this to-do list kind of somewhere visual for me, and then have another calendar. And so what I have to do is I'm going to put my calendar up finally in my office, my home office, and make sure that I utilize this as well. So again, like Michaela said, maybe doing it for a couple of weeks to ensure that if, things change, you don't have to, spend all that time working on that. You're going to have, a couple of weeks out or even a month. So that's also helpful too. So thank you. Lori, do you have any helpful, like, what do you do as far as your organization or prioritizing to be on top of things?
I use my Outlook calendar, and so I have to be reminded constantly of everything. So I not only utilize that Outlook calendar, like you don't have to set it for a particular length of time. You can set it at the same time. So if I have something that I want to remind myself to do at 3 o'clock, it starts at 3 and it ends at 3, but the reminder comes up, which is super, super important. And so I also utilize my phone calendar, and I'll put in things that remind me. For some reason, the reminder feature on my smartphone, it doesn't work quite like the calendar feature with reminders. The cool thing about that with the phone reminder is that you can set 2 separate reminders. So if I want to remember that I have an appointment the next day, I can set the reminder to come a day ahead of time. So I'm prepared. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I have that, let's say, school assignment that's going to be due tomorrow. And that'll give me plenty of time to prepare if I'm firming up a rough draft or proofreading or something like that. So that really helps too. And not just 15 minutes before something that I have to do is due. So that keeps me organized because I can't remember much.
Yes, I definitely need a lot of reminders as well. So thank you. So Christian wrote in the chat that I keep a digitally accountability note on my memos. I have mainly been using it for piano and vocal practices, but I may start using it for academics. I try to keep it flexible, but sometimes it's difficult. Okay, so good examples, and thank you guys for sharing. And then again, it's just kind of talking through this and helping to get ready to start this, these different projects. So I briefly started talking about sprint work. So another thing that has been helpful for me, and I started trying to do this week, is, well, I've been starting it slowly, and now what I'm doing this week is going to be a little bit different. So alongside, let me just pull this off. Alongside my to-do list at the bottom right over here, I have sprint work for the week. Okay, so what sprint work involves is, for me anyways, is I'm picking one particular area. And so this week, off on my calendar over here, I have a couple of different projects and different things that I do. So I have up here, I have Trio-SSS. So everything that I need to make sure that I'm getting taken care of for the week, I put that up on there. I have women's basketball things that I need to get complete. And then I also have, my side work that I do for my company, and that's also going to be in a different color, and it's going to be right over here. So these are the things that I have to get done to make sure that I'm successful. But also what I want to do, and what's going to help me to constantly feel that I'm increasing or helping myself in being effective, is doing the sprint work. So for sprint work for this week, I'm picking a task, or tasks, if you will, and I'm setting aside 1 hour and holding myself accountable for that 1 hour, and just really trying to focus on that particular subject or tasks, if you will, and trying to do the most effective maximum work in that time period, if that makes sense. So, and that doesn't always have to be the same thing. So I'm focusing on white cone production. So that entails looking at creating films or videos that I want to put into that to create a film. I'm working on my website. I'm working on things that are going to be geared towards my company, and I'm only spending an hour on that in addition to everything else I'm doing, if that makes sense. And so this is actually helping me again to feel like I'm accomplishing things outside of those daunting everyday to-do lists, you know, those things that you have to do. But this also helps me to see that, you know, hey, I can find time to do things that are going to help me feel good. And this really helps with your mental self-care, if you will, that you're doing something that's going to help you. Again, it can be a task that could be something that's geared to your summer school. I want to try to spend an hour reviewing, or trying to get an hour right after getting my assignments done, or getting my assignment for a class, spending an hour right after that lecture and trying to write down as much as I can for that course. Or, hey, I'm not really good at studying, so maybe I can find somebody who will do a study time with me for an hour. So again, it's not anything too big, because we're trying to go for that success, and we're trying to help ourselves. So again, just try to do 1 hour. So if I could ask, and if you guys kind of have an idea, what would you want to do for next week for your sprint work for an hour? What tasks would you want to focus on? And again, it doesn't have to be necessarily school. You can be, I want to have an hour to have for myself. So that helps with my mental health. Or I want to, read, or, it's whatever you want. So if you guys could, what kind of sprint work would you guys want to do next week for 1 hour to help you?
I think next week, to start off like a routine of sprint work, probably something involved like with self-care, but probably like combination of reading and like journaling, just so it's kind of, I don't want to take that hour to try and make it go towards school and reading on like educational materials, so I can kind of make that separation, because I feel like working from home and doing school from home, you really need to make that boundary of when it's time for school and when it's time for you. So I would like to take just an hour to kind of like focus on something that's going to help with my personal development, rather than, I shouldn't say rather than, that will also complement my educational development later. So personal development, self-development materials, probably would all be the kind of reading material I'll focus on.
Awesome. And then okay, thank you. Christian said meditation to suppress my emotions a little bit better. Okay, so spending an hour working on that emotional and then that cultural or spiritual, if you will, to help for yourself. Thank you. Lori?
I'll probably work on recognizing spring students for grades.
Awesome. All right. So again, this is just kind of helping in the sense of like trying to add those positive things to our everyday lives that we know we need to do. And so again, how does that help with our summer school? It's going to help you in that personal realm. That's going to help you to be more effective as a student. So definitely great sprint work goals for next week. And then I will probably work on probably the same thing as well. So awesome. I'm almost done here. Okay, so what will I do next? So again, we are looking at summer school success, and what does that look like for you? Have you already started? You may have already started your calendar, your to-do list. It's good, but again, we just wanted to start that conversation, get that reminder out there. If you haven't already, that's okay. You still have time. Again, we wanted to have this conversation early What is your weekly sprint work that you're going to try to do as you're going through summer school. Again, that's going to change weekly, but try to challenge yourself to do something when it comes to sprint work. And then the last one that I have for a success tip is weekly check-ins. Sometimes we don't do that enough. Whether that's going to be Trio-SSS, your mentors, your professors, you have somebody that you want to be able to check in with. And so making sure that you're also staying accountable to those things. You're being able to have those conversations and making sure that, you are doing the things that you need to. So having those weekly check-ins, we always want to hear from you guys, hear about how you guys are doing. That's important. And that also helps us to come back to, hey, I kind of feel down on this week about, it could be whatever, and having somebody to just kind of be there to hear you out. And then you get to talk about that. And that's, definitely a stress reliever as well. And then what are you going to do to be successful, or how are you going to, self-soothe or make yourself be able to continue on to get these things done, right? So again, just a couple of but tips from what we're doing here, how you can be successful. And again, these are different variations. You guys have said that you've used probably all of these, and that's great, in different variations. But again, just wanted to have that conversation. I'll let Lori continue on with the, successes that we can do for the summer.
Thanks, Yosh. That's awesome. Those were some really, really awesome tips. But I know that we can't talk about a success strategy unless we talk about resources. And so part of that strategy is going to be reaching out for help. So resources are available to you and they're here for everyone, but you have to let us know what you need, right? And that can be either academic or it can be needs that you have that of a personal nature. But either way, it's not going to work, or you're not going to be successful if you don't reach out to someone and let them know that you need help. This is a really good resource for a bunch of resources, or an accumulation of resources on our Haskell Trio page. And so you can get to this page by just simply going to haskelltrio.com and then click on the virtual student resources link or tab. And so this is just a little slider of all kinds of different documents and resources that are going to be helpful for you. We update this regularly. So when something comes available to us, we're going to post it on this page immediately. So it's nearly real time. And this is in addition to what we post on our Facebook page, we also post resources and different things there in real time as well. First and foremost, for summer semester, is tutoring. That's a great resource to have, and it's available to you in the summer, even though it is a shortened semester. These items you can click on individually, and it will pull up a little bit closer so you can take a closer look. And then on the side, you'll notice on the description that we have the path in order for you to get to the tutoring that Student Success Center has available to you. So you can also just scroll through here by clicking this to the next one. This is a pretty important document, and I don't know that if students are as engaged with it as we hope, but this was generated by a lot of campus partners who came together to provide resources that was put together by Laura in Student Success Center. So it has nearly every resource and contact information, everything that you can think of on campus and also within the Lawrence community. If you look over to the description on the right, you can click on the link below, and it'll open the entire document into another window for you, so you can explore it more in depth. But I mean, really, there's just everything that you could think of that you might need. So first of all, it lists a list of deans and contact information for each one of those. We are recommending Trio and Student Success Center. It is recommending that if you don't hear back from your professors when you need something regarding a class or an assignment, or especially for your advisors, that you copy the dean on the second request of the email. So the professors or faculty or even staff should reply to your email within 48 hours. And if they don't, here's a resource that you can utilize in your communication with them that will help move that process along. You can always reach out to somebody in Trio or copy your Trio retention specialist on the first email or any of the communications that you have with anybody on campus. And sometimes that helps move the process along too. For some reason, okay, there we go. So here's a link to the academic calendars, which are important to know when add drop is, when the last day to withdraw is. The dates are also on there of when holidays, federal holidays are, when the classes won't be in session. And we get our information off of those academic calendars to produce the Trio calendar. And you can find that at haskelltrio.com too. Here's information on how to withdraw from Haskell, tutoring resources. If you if the Student Success Center tutors aren't available for a live tutoring session, you always have access to tutor.com. If you forgot your sign in or you're not sure how to navigate that, just get with Ron or I and we can help you figure that whole thing out. And then here's more information about tutor.com, the writing center. And then there's all of our Trio information on if you have problems accessing Blackboard, who should you reach out to with technical issues, the library contacts, student accessibility support services. So if you are having issues with accessibility, if you have a disability or you need to document a disability with the university, then that's who you would need to reach out to. Everybody has access to Microsoft 365. So this tells you how to access those applications on your computer. If you have problems with your email, if you're locked out, how to access it, how to register for courses, how to navigate the financial aid system locally, and other resources for financial aid are all listed here. And then if you need self-care help, if you need some counseling services, who to contact on campus, and local resources for food or for housing are also listed here. And then some national wellness resources as well. So this document is super, super cool. And I know that they took a lot of care into putting that document together. And so next, there's a student emergency assistance program if you need financial assistance. And so that will tell you who to contact if you are in a financial bind and you need help. So these resources, not just academic, but also if you've got some issues that are impacting your academic success of a personal nature with you or your family, you can have some help in that area as well. Library hours, who to contact at the library if you need any information. And then we post anything that we want you to know that's important in on the side here in the description. We haven't had anything just super pressing lately, so we still have information up that we feel like that's important from the spring and the fall semesters. There's that time zone calendar. Sometimes I still refer to this time zone calendar for Zooms that might be in Mountain or Pacific time or Eastern time. And then this talks about the bursar's office. If you look to the right of this graphic, it'll tell you what things that the bursar's office does. and what things that are issues that the Bursar office can help you with, along with the contact information. So this is that credit, no credit policy for spring. You still have until August in order to make those credit, no credit decisions. If you want to kind of move things around, and please talk to somebody about it. Talk to Laura in Student Success Center, or talk to Ron and I if you're still not understanding how this policy can work for you. We can help you with that. There's also a link that was off to the side that will take you to the full document. And then this was just about some of those CARES Act funds that were distributed if you want to do a deep dive and look more in depth about some of those issues. Here's the counseling information. Again, a lot of this on the right is repeat from that resource document that we went over. Financial aid, here's everybody, what their hours are, how to get in touch with them if you're having issues with Pell or a scholarship. Here's a short tutorial on how to fill out the grade checks online. We will have two of those.
It's Lori from Trio.
We will have two of those that are due this semester. And then here's some just virtual learning tips. And so also, if you get discouraged and you want to hear some good words from
Haskell campus,
Yosh,
we are excited to start this new semester. We are sad
that will
you're
help
not able
you
to
there
be here
too.
with
So
us.
inspiring. So if you need some inspiration, you can play that video every once in a while. Here we have a list of every contact for every instructor, staff member, and they're kind of broken down by the school. So if it's nice to have a quick reference. If you need to get a hold of someone, just click on the button and it'll pull up. It says that it's from spring 2020, but this is the most recent information that has been provided to us, and it's pretty accurate. So it breaks it down by what their position are, what their office phone is, and also their email. So that can come in handy if you're having problems getting in touch with somebody or need to copy somebody on an email. So that's all I have for resources. Does anybody else want to share resources that maybe weren't covered in what I just talked about, or share some resources that other students you want to make other students aware of that have worked for you? Anybody? Okay. Well, if nobody has any other resources, that's all I have for some summer success strategies. And again, if you need anything or have any questions about anything from last semester, if you have any questions about fall and need help with this semester, just reach out. Trio's always here for you. Your retention specialist can help you. We are still doing the monthly meetings. So like Yosh said earlier, it's always a good idea to try and do a monthly check-in. You can do that over email. You can text your retention specialist, or schedule a Zoom meeting like we're having right now. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Yosh, do you have any closing words?
Good luck. Know that we're here if you guys need anything. And again, we're just having these conversations to make sure that, we're able to help each other be successful. Definitely sharing those tips, what works and what doesn't work, and, getting ideas of what we can do to accomplish our goals. So again, if you guys need anything, let us know. And then be sure to look for those weekly reminders that we send out, just to let you know what's going on, and then do some check-ins with us. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining, everybody.